Good afternoon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Tuesday. I'm Susanna Gibbons. I'm the director of the Funds Enterprise at the Carlson School, and I'm so excited to have all of you here today. Today's event is with Chris Hilger, and Chris and Securian's work with the Funds Enterprise has been instrumental in preparing future leaders in the finance industry. Before we get to our fireside chat with Chris, I'd like to thank First Tuesday's corporate and media partners, Wells Fargo, Nerdery, and Twin Cities Business. Thank you very much. And of course, a very special thank you to the many Carlson School of Management and University of Minnesota supporters that are in our audience today. Thank you very much. All right, and thank you also to the benefactors joining us, including our Investors Circle members. The Investors Circle is the Carlson School's annual giving society, recognizing the school's most ardent and committed individual supporters. So welcome to all of you. Thank you very much. So today's event will be a fireside chat with Chris Hilger and Tracy Wong. For those who do not know her, Tracy is the John Spooner Professor of Finance and the current chair of the Carlson School's Finance Department. Tracy is an expert on corporate governance, law, and economics, and behavioral finance. She will be speaking with today's guest, Chris Hilger. Chris, of course, is the chairman, president, and CEO of Securian Financial. With more than 30 years in corporate leadership positions, Chris has a wealth of experience in distribution development, mergers and acquisitions, strategic planning, and financial management. He joined Securian in 2004 when Securian acquired Allied Solutions, one of the nation's largest independent distribution organizations serving the financial institution market. At that time, he became a member of the senior management team, progressively moving into positions of greater responsibility before being named president in 2012. He has served as CEO since 2015 and was named chairman in 2017. Chris serves on the boards of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Donaldson Company, and the St. Paul Downtown Alliance. He is also a member of the executive committee of the Minnesota Business Partnership. He has a bachelor's degree in finance from Indiana University. Please join me in welcoming Chris Hilger. Thank you.
Thank you. You got it. Well, thank you for that kind introduction. I really appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me to speak at today's First Tuesday event. I'm looking forward to spending some time with Professor Wang here in just a minute, but before I do so, let me share a little bit with you about Securian Financial, what we do and who we are. Some of you may know a little bit about us. I certainly hope that's the case for a couple of tables full of my colleagues out here, but maybe not everybody. So let me share a little insights with you. Securian Financial is a life insurance company, but with a different governance structure than many other companies you may know. We're not a publicly traded insurance company, but rather a mutual insurance company, or technically a mutual holding company. In simple terms, that means that the company is owned by its policyholders, the people who buy our products and services, not by other external stockholders. Securian has been in St. Paul since we were founded 143 years ago, and our campus in downtown St. Paul is just a few blocks away from where our original headquarters was. We have about 6,500 employees in offices throughout the U.S. and Canada, including about half of them in our downtown St. Paul office. A few financial statistics to share with you. We have approximately $90 billion of assets under management, assets that back the products we offer or our investments our customers are entrusting to us to manage for them. Importantly, Securian Financial is a major provider of life insurance protection in the country. In fact, we have $1.5 trillion of life insurance protection in force. That's a lot of life insurance protection. By that metric, we're the 7th largest life insurance company in the country. And there's other ways to measure insurance companies' assets under management revenue. We're probably in the top 25 there. But when it comes to the important life insurance protection that a lot of people count on, we're one of the biggest companies in the U.S. We also paid nearly $4 billion in benefits to our customers in 2022. Over half of these benefits were death benefits paid to the families of our insureds. But we also pay significant retirement, investment income, and other benefits to our customers each year. Those are really important benefits paid to our customers and their families right when they need it the most. And it's one of the reasons I'm really proud to be part of Securian Financial and very, very proud to be part of the industry I've been part of now for 3.5 decades. One interesting fact I wanted to share that illustrates that last point about the importance of the life insurance industry. Each and every day of the year, the U.S. life insurance industry pays out approximately $2.5 billion in life insurance, retirement, and other benefits. And just to put that into context, the U.S. Social Security Administration each and every day pays out $3.3 billion in benefits. 3.3 versus 2.5 for the life insurance industry. It just gives you a sense of how important the life insurance industry is as a safety net that people count on. Well, that's a little bit about who Securian Financial is. Now let me talk more about what we do. And remember, we're a life insurance company, so I don't have pictures to share with you about the stuff that we sell. Instead, I'm going to explain what we do by focusing on the markets that we serve. We serve individuals and families with products like life insurance and annuities, and we distribute them through independent financial professionals throughout the country. We also provide risk management solutions to financial institutions and associations and provide financial security solutions to their customers. In total, over 4,000 financial institutions and associations and their customers count on Securian Financial. And we serve employers and employees with benefits like employee life insurance and retirement solutions. We provide benefits to employees at companies of all sizes, including many of the very largest companies in Minnesota and throughout the country, as well as the employees of 15 states, including Minnesota. We're really proud that many of the employees here working for the state of Minnesota benefit from our coverages. And I have to mention the privilege we've had of providing employee benefit solutions to employees of the University of Minnesota since 1963. 60 years, my entire life, we've been partners with the University of Minnesota. In total, across these three markets, we serve 20 million U.S. and Canadian citizens, something that we're extremely proud of. I want to wrap up with a couple of comments about I think I forgot something there, Yeah. All right. Even if you didn't know much about us today, perhaps you've seen us in the community. As one of the larger employees in downtown St. Paul, we tend to be involved in a lot of the things happening east of the river. If you have seen us downtown, you've seen our big sign outside of our building. You see us promoting a lot of different activities in downtown St. Paul. And if you've attended a Twins game, a Saints game, or a Wild game, we tend to be regular advertisers with those organizations. Securian Financial has also maintained a strong presence on the University of Minnesota campuses. We sponsored the development of the University of Minnesota Duluth Math Lab in honor of a proud Bulldog alum, my predecessor, Bob Senkler. There's also the Securian Financial Classroom at the Carlson School, and we can be often seen advertising at various Gopher sporting events here on campus. I want to wrap up with a couple of comments about the importance of trust to the success of a business. And I'm going to naturally focus on the importance of trust to our business, Securian Financial. I kind of touched on this a bit earlier, but think about what we do at Securian Financial. We don't sell food, shelter, transportation, or any number of other important tangible goods and services that consumers can touch or feel or experience in an obvious way. Heck, people don't even really want to use some of the products they buy from us. So what do we sell then? Well, we simply sell a promise to pay oftentimes many years down the road, a promise that helps deliver peace of mind and confidence in the future, a promise that customers will only buy if they trust us, And I believe that we earn the trust of our customers when they believe in both our ability and our intent to fulfill our promises. One of the most visible ways to demonstrate our ability to fulfill our promises is to look at our financial strength ratings. And I'm not talking here about what we say about our financial strength. I'm talking about what other organizations in the business of assessing financial strength say about us. What you see on the screen are the financial strength ratings we receive from the 4 major rating agencies that focus on the insurance sector. You probably recognize some of the names. I'm not expecting that you understand how they go through the process of assessing the financial strengths of companies or their scales that they use. But I can assure you that these ratings are outstanding and really put us an elite company as one of the highest rated life insurance companies in the country. Financial strength and our ability to fulfill our promises has been a hallmark of the company for generations. Having the ability to fulfill our promise is part of what it takes to build confidence of our stakeholders. But people also need to believe in our motivations or our intent if they're truly going to trust us. That's where our purpose and values come in. You know, most companies have some sort of high-level statement, oftentimes referred to as a mission or a vision or a combination of the two, that is intended to capture its reason for being and aspirations at the highest level. At Securian Financial, we simply call this our purpose. Our purpose is both straightforward and inspirational to us. We build secure tomorrows. Building secure tomorrows starts with our customers and does show up in all the products we offer. Think life insurance and retirement solutions. But our purpose of building secure tomorrows goes well beyond that, like to our employees through the great jobs and benefits that we provide, or through the importance we place on philanthropy and being engaged in the community. I am extremely proud of the work we do to build secure tomorrows in our community through the millions of dollars in donations we make each year and the rich history of volunteerism that exists at Securian Financial. Every company I know of also has values it can point to as the principles or core beliefs that set expectations on how the company will interact with its stakeholders. At Securian, our values say a lot about our company and what you can expect from us. We care about others, our customers, our channel partners, our community, and one another. We are thinkers and doers. Our associates take a ton of pride in being hardworking, smart, and creative, and they are. We keep our word. We do what we say we are going to do, and when we make a mistake, nobody's perfect. We work hard to make it right. And importantly, we succeed as a team. I strongly believe that big accomplishments and great ideas rarely come from one brilliant or especially talented individual. Great stuff happens when the team, a dedicated team, comes together and makes it happen. Our purpose and values drive our intent to deliver on our commitments and do business the right way. Our financial strength supports our ability to follow through on our promises. Together, they reassure our stakeholders that we will be there when they need us, that we can be trusted. And that trust is critical to our business because at the end of the day, trust is what gives value to the promises we make. And when people value our promises, we are in a great position to deliver on our purpose of building secure tomorrows. Well, that's a little bit of background on the organization and a few insights for me on the importance of trust in an organization. I think I'll leave it right there and invite Tracy up, and I think we're going to carry on the conversation. Great, thank you. Do you want to sit in?
You can pick the
Sure.
side. Thank you, Chris, for the presentation, and especially about trust. Actually, this reminds me of a quote from an author called Bob Vanarek. He said that trust is built when someone is vulnerable and not taken advantage of. I think that actually works for the insurance industry quite well, right? Because insurance is helpful when we are vulnerable. So, but I actually like to turn our conversation to another word that's also very important to your company,
Sure.
The word secure. Okay, it's in your company name, Securian. It's in your corporate purpose, right? We build secure tomorrows, and it's essentially the corporate brand name and identity. I remember that the company changed the corporate name from Minnesota Mutual Life Insurance Company to Securian Financials back in 2001. What's the story behind the name change?
Well, yeah, the catalyst for our name change was actually adopting a new governance structure, going from a traditional mutual insurance company to a mutual holding company. And we did it for reasons for adding some operational and capital flexibility. But one of the things you had to do is create a new entity, a new kind of holding company entity, and it needed a name. And at the time, I wasn't here, but at the time, the thought was, let's not be so regionally constraining with the name that we use. Let's have a name that it can resonate broadly throughout the country, and later, as we found out, in Canada as well. So it was kind of fortuitous that they picked the name Securian, because when we updated our purpose statement, we latched onto this building secure tomorrow, and that whole essence about what we do was built into our purpose and our name. So it's kind of a cascade of events that took place for purely organizational reasons and not branding reasons. The other thing about it is that even after we rebranded to Securian Financial, we actually continued promoting our business under the Minnesota Life name for many, many years. It wasn't until about, 6 or 7 years that we brought things together and refreshed our brand to what hopefully people are familiar with today.
Oh, good. So you mentioned that the corporate purpose is to build secure tomorrows. What do you think is a secure tomorrow that your clients wish to have?
I think secure tomorrows is a pretty personal thing. For some people, it could be a comfortable retirement. Others, it might be, hey, making sure that my family's taken care of if I have an unexpected death. Some people, it gets more basic, just a little extra money in the savings account, or a place to sleep at night, or a meal that evening. So it is a real personal thing, security is, but I think there's a common thread through all of it. It's people's desire to be confident in the future and be comfortable that they're going to be okay, or their family is going to be okay. So it's real personal, comes in lots of shapes and sizes, but there is that common thread about peace of mind and confidence in the future.
Speaking of the confidence in the future, I think that the COVID-19 pandemic was probably the biggest event in the recent decades that shook our sense of security, right? Millions of families worried about the health security and financial security. So what happened to Securian during that time? Did Securian help your clients gain back that sense of security?
I sure hope so. Maybe I'll broaden my response to think about how we contribute to financial security, broadly speaking, including our customers. Hey, we all remember what that was like. It was a pretty scary time, and we had a lot of people, our customers, were calling us, hey, will my life insurance cover me if my spouse or I or somebody else in the family passes away? Will you guys be around? Do you have the financial strength to withstand the financial stress that's undoubtedly going to come? Or I don't know if you remember, we also had 401k accounts that people could take hardship loans. And at the time, we had 401k was one of our businesses. So we were receiving tons of calls asking for reassurance, essentially, on, hey, were we going to be there for our customers? Our employees wanted to know whether they're going to have jobs. Remember how many layoffs there were back then? It seemed like 20% of the population was laid off. It was crazy, and we wanted to make sure that we provided them reassurance that their jobs were okay, that they were going to have the tools they needed to do their jobs in this new remote world that we were going to be part of. And in the community, the community was hurting at a time when we were feeling financial pressure. So what could we do to provide some sort of financial security for them? I think it really is showing up each and every day, giving the message of reassurance, walking the talk. We paid $1.3 billion of COVID-related death benefits. For anybody that thinks COVID doesn't exist, I'm here to tell you it did. It was a big, but we did it claim after claim, month after month, year after year, continued to walk the talk. We didn't have any furloughs or layoffs in the pandemic for our employees. And each and every year of the pandemic, we made a record contribution in philanthropy to the community, despite the fact that we had some understandable financial pressure from the pandemic. So it's that consistency of walking the talk each and every day that I think really it allows you to deliver that trust, that sense of security that people count on.
Wow. So pandemic actually, in the sense that it's a big corporate event, because that's when you keep your promise, right? You show that you keep the promise and the trust is built when people, millions of families are vulnerable.
Yeah, it was actually one of the things that we talked a lot about. Let's not focus on the impact to our earnings. Let's focus on our ability to do what we say we are here for each and every day. And it ended up being a bit of a rallying cry. It's like, all right, we're walking the talk. We're doing the things that we say we're here for, and allowed us to get comfortable with the impact financially that all insurance companies had, and also validated that, hey, it was a great idea to build great financial strength coming into an event like that.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, given the importance of financial security, is there a takeaway point that you'd like to share with us for families here and colleagues here?
Yeah, I think before you talk about financial security, it's probably worth taking stock of the financial insecurity that exists. There's a lot of financial insecurity out there. I was reading that over 45% of consumers are uninsured or underinsured in this country. I mean, that's a huge exposure. Almost that same amount are concerned about their ability to save enough for a comfortable retirement. And shockingly to me, 1/3 of Americans do not have the ability to withstand a $400 unexpected expense. There is real insecurity, financial insecurity out there. The good news is there's something you can do about it. You can, it takes time, it takes resources, it takes some attention, but if you get with people you trust, friends and family, a financial advisor, your employer, I think some people really underestimate how your employer has the building blocks for financial security available to you. Your bank or credit union, there's so many different outlets, but you have to be really intentional about it. And if you plan soon enough, time can be your friend. But if you don't plan soon enough, time will definitely not be your friend. So big advice is acknowledge the financial security out there, get after it, start working on it, and there are lots of tools and ways that you can build some great financial security for yourself and your family.
And work with Securian Financial.
And yeah, if you need some recommendations on where to go, I have some suggestions.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, now actually, let's maybe go to the more personal side of your story. So you had an education in finance, and how did you get into the insurance business? And do you see any connection between finance and insurance?
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting. When I went to Indiana University, and I was a finance major there, and I remember that at the time, I don't know if it's still the way, they had 3 tracks: corporate finance, finance and real estate, and finance and insurance. Well, I knew for sure I wanted nothing to do with finance and insurance, so I got it down to the other 2. And I went into corporate finance, and ended up getting a job with a pharmaceutical company, and then a couple years later joined a family business, which gave me an opportunity to apply my finance disciplines to the insurance industry, and it's something I've been doing ever since. And I think there's great connections that I have found with my degree in finance to my job, my entire career. And I think one of the most important ones is the critical thinking skills that you get. You like being a finance-focused person. I am too. I think there's some incredible critical thinking skills that you develop, and they have been invaluable to me throughout. I have certain aspects of my job that I'm able to directly apply what I learn. And we were talking beforehand. It's funny how I hearken back to my days sitting in the classroom of some of my finance classes to this day, particularly when we're doing things around M&A. Discounted cash flows, NPVs. I didn't want to be the debit and credit accounting guy. I wanted to be the MPV, discounted rate guy, and I apply it all the time. And core to our business at Securian Financial is actuarial sciences. We have an incredibly talented actuarial community, and there are so many of the same tools that I learned as a finance major that our team is applying each and every day to do the important work they do to come up with the creative products to provide that financial security in a sound way.
Oh, wow. I mean, this question is definitely for the students, here in the audience or on the Zoom, right? So basically, well, it seems that we're teaching the good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely, you're
useful
doing
stuff.
it right. Keep it up, keep it up. And then send them to Securian to work, will you? We want them there.
Oh,
okay?
great. That's a partnership. So now I want to ask about your, leadership philosophy, leadership style, and also I know that these things are often rooted in a person's personal values, right? So, what is your leadership philosophy, and or your top personal values?
Yeah, and they're not the same as Securian's values, but they're very much aligned with it. First and foremost, honesty. I just think, talked earlier in my comments about people not willing to buy products from us if they don't trust us. People are not willing to follow a leader if they don't trust a leader. Maybe short term, but not over the long haul. I mean, they have to trust you if they're going to follow you. And so I start always with trust. The second thing I always think about all the time that I value a lot is curiosity. Curiosity is so important. I get with our interns every year, and it's one of the things I love, these interns coming in trying to figure out what the wise CEO has to say to them. And I always talk about, I'm not that wise, I always talk about curiosity being important. Curiosity sparks innovation. Curiosity is the thing that helps you find those challenges, look around the corners. If you're not curious, you're missing tons of opportunities and probably tons of challenges as well. And then the last thing that I would say is respect. We have way too little respect in this world nowadays, and it's interesting out there. There seems to be this desire that you have to vanquish the person you disagree with instead of taking the time to understand the person you disagree with. I think if you apply a little curiosity and you show a genuine sign of respect to people, you can actually figure out what's motivating them, and they can contribute in a way that's meaningfully going to impact the decisions that you make, and certainly something that I try to do. It also, that whole notion of respect, I think generates kindness. We need more kindness. I gravitate towards kind people. Hopefully people think I'm kind, and it just does such a positive work to them. It's great to come in the office when you look forward to the people you're going to work with because they're kind, competent, caring individuals.
And on curiosity, which is something that we really emphasize in higher education and K-12 as well. So how to maintain that curiosity throughout the life, right? We often think that everyone was born with a lot of curiosity because when we were born, we knew nothing about the world, right? And we were eager to know everything about the world. But how do we maintain that? I mean, you kind of thinking about, what do you do to maintain that curiosity in your life?
I never really thought about it. I think, though, probably it starts with acknowledging the fact that you don't know everything. You better be curious if you're going to really make informed decisions, particularly when you're in a leadership role, but not exclusively there. You better make good decisions, informed decisions, and if you limit it to just what you know, that's a recipe for a disaster. Reaching out and understanding what other people think and how it can influence your way of making decisions. It's the right thing to do, not only for yourself, your career, but for any people or organization you have responsibility for.
Mm-hmm. And now I actually want to verify with you a rumor that I heard. Okay, so I heard that just last year alone, Securian employees volunteered 21,000 hours in community work. That sounds unbelievable. Is that true?
Yeah, it's great. I mentioned in my comments about this real tradition, this strong tradition of volunteerism at Securian, and I love it. I love the reputation we have in the community. Our associates, people want our associates working at their nonprofits, on their boards. It was something that existed well before I got there. Quite frankly, I found it a great organization to be part of because it allowed me to step up my game in being involved in the community. But it's an incredibly rewarding part of what we do at Securian. It's celebrated. We support our associates in it. And I'm just really proud every time I see our associates on the news, in the community, on our newsletter, doing the great work they do in the community. It's a big part of who we are, and it's a great way we show up. Our values show up in what we do every day as well.
So why is volunteerism so important to you and to Securian employees?
Well, I think there's the obvious thing about what you can do to give back to the community, but I have to tell you, in most of my volunteer work, I have gained as much from it as I have given. I think about one of the very first, I see Paul Williams sitting right here. He and I had an experience together at the St. Paul, Minnesota Foundation. It was very impactful to me and how I thought about giving back to the community, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's just, you can walk away with so much, even if your primary motivation is to give back.
So you actually gain when you
Absolutely.
give back.
Absolutely.
Well, that is powerful. And what is your passion when it comes to community work? Do you have your favorite type of contribution?
Well, first of all, anything St. Paul. Sorry if you guys don't see me over here at all. St. Paul is a great city, and I don't know. It's an interesting place because being a smaller place, we all know each other. There's this really intense sense of community with nonprofit, business community, the government officials. We actually like each other, and we don't always agree. Frequently don't agree. But we do get along well, and it's a fun way to be engaged in the community with people you've gotten to know as friends. And so anything St. Paul's at the top of my list.
I see. So, and then the Securian employees, is there a culture that you nurture for so many employees to involve so many hours? I mean, is this a kind of a corporate culture of giving? Well,
I think, we make it real clear when we're hiring people what our values are and what's important to us. And as a result of that, typically when people come, I think it's part of what they sign up for when they come to Securian is being committed to the community, being engaged in the community. We let people take time off to be engaged in the community. We support them. We try to connect them with opportunities to serve on boards, to give back to the community in many, many ways. So hopefully it's something where it's part of our value proposition that people come to us because they do want to be engaged in the community.
And that's also the trust building process with
Absolutely.
the community.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, maybe, can I ask a tough question
Sure.
for a busy CEO?
Okay.
Do you have some spare time for yourself?
Not as much as I'd like. None of us do, right? But I do. I have a number of things I enjoy doing. I have a lot of things I like doing. I'm a racket sport enthusiast, squash, a little bit of pickleball, paddle. I love everything outdoors, hiking. I was just hiking with my two sons and one of my brothers in Moab last week. It was a great time. Picked up biking a couple years ago. Wish I would have done that sooner. It's a lot of fun. My wife and I love to travel. We have had the good fortune of traveling around the world and on a regular basis get to continue to do so. And then we love spending time at our cabin as much as we can. So that's a lot going. Actually, my job's kind of getting in my way of all the things that I want to do.
So wow, it sounds like it's really a full life with a lot of giving back while giving back, and also a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And I think that I better turn to the audience because I'm sure that some of them will have questions for you.
Super. Great.
So okay. Now we turn to the audience, and then feel free to ask Chris some questions.
Okay, here we go. Our traditional first question from our friend Mark.
Hey, what a great presentation, and I'd fit what you explained, so, I might be over Securian pretty soon, but I used to cut through there to go to McDonald's. I was city chairman, and I realized then what a fine company Securian was to run and how it operated in St. Paul. Paid a lot of attention to it. And I almost hate to ask this question, but if you were having to make any questions, and I'm not talking about layoffs or expansion, if you were having to make any changes in the operation, which runs just fine, what would they be?
Well, we have made a lot of changes in our organization, as my colleagues know, so it's not a hypothetical question. One of the things that we did, I am a big believer in constructing and articulating a compelling strategy, and our strategy is making sure that we are in markets and businesses where we can win. And you may have noticed, some of you may have had a Securian Financial as an administrator of your 401k program many years ago. We exited that business. It was a great business. We liked it. It was well run. But man, that's a scale business, and we were just not in a position to do well. So we have a number of other things that we've done that focus our business on markets where we can win. But we call it, our strategic plan is called Win with Purpose. And our purpose and focusing on our purpose and reminding ourselves about what winning looks like our way is really important to us, but certainly includes winning too, and at times that means making some tough decisions.
Hello, I'm Pam Skor-Axberg with Union Gospel Mission Twin Cities, and I will attest we've got 60 of your employees coming to volunteer for Thanksgiving for distribution. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that is being a good neighbor. So my question is really around, as we think of life insurance, and I heard you say people don't want to think about that. It's hard. And yet it's important. So as we talk to people in our family, or I talk to my employees, how should we think about that to help people think about life insurance, that trusted relationship, when it's really hard but yet important?
Well, first thing is life insurance is way less expensive than people realize. I mean, people walk around with this understanding that it's this unaffordable form of protection, and in most cases, you'd be surprised with how affordable it actually is. And I think I'll just go back to a comment I made is just get started. Just get started, have the conversation with somebody. Talk to your employer, your financial institution, your family members, your financial advisor. Just get started, have a conversation, take the first steps. Time is your friend if you get started now, it's not if you start later. And keep it that simple.
We're over here.
Thank you. I'm Andy Winton, one of Tracy's colleagues in the finance department. And I have a question for you on how the life insurance business is changing. There have been a lot of newspaper articles over the last 5 years or so about how private equity funds are coming in and taking over life insurers because it's a supply of patient capital. And how, since that's obviously makes them competitors to you, how is that affecting you, if at all? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. There have been some that have criticized the entry of private equity into the insurance industry. I'm not one of those. I think that it is a form of patient capital that can make a lot of sense. We, by the way, as a mutual insurance company, are also provide a form of patient capital. So it has its place in there. It has grown pretty quickly, and I think most of the concerns that are out there are on regulatory oversight and whether or not financial strength standards are being maintained. What I've seen so far has been good, but this is probably a longer story that has to go through a few investment credit cycles for us to really know for sure. But hey, anytime you bring more capacity into an industry that allows us to extend the solutions that we provide, it's not a bad thing. It does matter a lot, though. You got to get down to the specific company. Not all private equity is created the same. Not all mutual companies are created the same. Not all publicly traded companies are created the same. Go to a company you trust. Go to an advisor you trust. Your employers tend to be pretty good vetters of quality companies. So just don't check out the company. The company matters.
Hey, I'm Pranav. I'm a senior here at the Carlson School of Management, and I had a question kind of relating to something you talked about earlier. What are some skill sets that you think the insurance industry will benefit from a lot of the younger people bringing in the future, and what can you kind of speak to that about?
Yeah, for sure. I love the creativity and new ways of thinking that this new generation is bringing. When you think about ways to engage people and how they purchase insurance, and we're going to have new tools. They're being developed each and every day. It's very likely to accelerate with the emergence of AI and generative AI, and I believe that this next generation has a natural affinity, a lack of fear on some of those tools, and will be instrumental in helping us craft ways to engage our customers in buying the products and services that they need for themselves and their families. So I'm bullish on the next generation. Just wish you'd come to the office a little bit more frequently.
Chris, thank you so much for being here. I'm Jim Martin with the Nerdery, and I'd be remiss, since you did mention AI, how is Securian approaching some of the new technologies, or older but more, jumping out at us today, technologies such as generative AI and machine learning?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's pretty new. We have been doing a number of things with artificial intelligence, bots and things, but it's going to accelerate from here. So we're investing a lot right now. It's something that we're engaging our board on. Our board is very, very curious about this. The concern I think that a lot of people have is that we shouldn't look to history to see how quickly things are going to evolve here. So let's get after it. Which is quite honestly a little difficult for a company like ours. We're heavily regulated. We huge barriers to entry because of the capital considerations, et cetera. But there's a lot of energy right now about building out teams, making sure we have the talent there. We have some good work that we can build from, but we're going to need to accelerate it going forward.
Okay, I'm Shri Zahir, and it's delightful to be on this side of the stage for a change. But Chris, thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to sort of take you in a slightly different direction. And Chris, as many of you may know, is going to be the incoming chair of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. And I know a lot of us are, in the audience and folks that I've talked to over the years, want to know what kind of an influence does the Minneapolis Fed have in terms of influencing what happens in Washington, D.C., and we'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up my 4th year on the Fed board right now, and Shree's been there the entire time I've been there. We've worked closely together. Paul Williams, is front row here, is also on there. And it's been an incredibly rewarding experience for a couple of reasons. First, how much I've learned. I have learned so much, but also, to what Sri was alluding to, the impact that our Minneapolis Fed has on monetary policy and understanding of what it takes to have an economy that works for all. That's their mantra there. We have a great Indian community research area that does some incredible research to help us understand what's happening to those members of our community. Neil Kashkari, I love the guy. He's the best president in the system. He's very articulate. He does a great job of reducing things to plain English so people can understand what's going on. It's an incredibly talented leadership team. Some of them are here today. Thank you guys, appreciate it. It's just a great organization. People look to the Minneapolis Fed more than other people around the company realize, even though I think it's the smallest district. If it's not, it's one of the smallest couple, but it definitely punches above its weight class when it comes to everything to do with monetary policy.
Chris, I appreciate all your advice and perspective, and you talk about how one of your key values is respect. And as a CEO and a person in authority, how do you continue to encourage your employees to disagree with you, to build perspective?
That's very insightful, because one of the realities of being a CEO is that there's some hierarchy that goes along with it that I think naturally stifles the alternative perspective on things. And you have to be really intentional about inviting it. I will say to my team members, I really want you to push back on me on this. What is your opinion on this? I will let them know that I'm willing to change my mind. My colleagues that are here know there have been times where I've said, here's what we're going to do, and I've changed my mind because they've enlightened me on a better path forward. It's the little things that you say all the time. It's the way you show up. It's the way you show up with a smile on your face to let people know that, hey, you're not a bad person. But it's something you have to continually cultivate, because the natural reaction when somebody walks into the room with the CEO is to sit down, fold their hands, and nod their head at everything the CEO says. And by the way, I'm farthest from the smartest person in our company. You better not agree with everything I have to say. There are a lot of smart people, though, that can help us get to the right decision if you are really intentional about it, inviting their perspective.
Hi, Chris. Good afternoon. My name is Eric, and I'm fortunate to work at the Carlson School, and we work with a lot of our undergraduate students. So a question we have for you is, you mentioned curiosity as one of your values, and we think undergirding that is the concept of humility and willing to recognize you don't have all the answers. And so we're challenging our students to be courageous around less about the successes, because that's often what we celebrate, but what is maybe a lesson that you maybe had a less than ideal circumstance come out of it, or a loss that you have taken, for the lack of better words? And what is a lesson you've learned from that you take forward in your leadership at Securian?
We've had lots of successes, but we have had some areas where we've stumbled as well. And I think the best thing to do is just own it. Particularly the higher up you are in an organization with greater and greater leadership responsibility, it's incredibly impactful with a leader with a lot of responsibility owns a mistake publicly. We do that, we try to. And it's amazing how that will reduce the level of fear that comes with making mistakes. But you have to be intentional, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable. We were talking about vulnerability before, and it's not always comfortable to be vulnerable, but you can have a big impact on the psyche of your team if you are willing to be vulnerable and if you're able to own the mistakes and learn from it. But it's not say, oh, I made a mistake. We'll learn from it. What did you learn from it? And we try to do that. Probably at times we do it more successfully than others, but it's certainly something that we try to do.
Hi there, Chris. My name's Colin. I'm an econ student from the university, from Macalester College, not a university. And you discussed how the COVID-19 pandemic was a time of a lot of chaos, both for the world and for Securian. And I'm curious about how do you envision both Securian and the insurance industry as a whole adapting when the next COVID-19 pandemic can be just around the corner, and things like natural disasters and other events where insurance companies are called upon to provide aid become more and more common?
Well, I think the pandemic was a great reminder that challenging things do happen. I actually believe that when something bad happens, it's probably too late to prepare. You need to prepare well in advance of that. And it's one of the things that I love about Securian as I walked into this organization that had prepared financially, not for a pandemic. We didn't know it was going to happen, but for whatever happened, culturally, operationally, all the different things. So I just think there's so many different things you could point to as potential challenges. It's all about what you're doing today to prepare for those, more than what's your game plan to react once it happens.
Chris, we've got one last question here from our online audience, which is it more challenging to run a large company like Securian or a family-based business, which we hear that you have some experience with as well?
They're different, but there's some similarities too. I was an entrepreneur for most of the first half of my career. Worked very closely with my mother, a couple brothers. It was a great experience. There are fewer boundaries in a family business than there are in a company like Securian. There's incredibly positive energy, huge trust that you have, all of that. I actually think there are some really interesting similarities, though, between being an entrepreneur where I was and being part of Securian, a non-publicly traded company. As an entrepreneur, I got to focus on two things: taking care of our customers and growing the business. And that's what I get to do at Securian as well. I take care of it. We get to take care of our customers. We get to focus on growing the business. For me, I like that. I don't there's publicly traded companies are fantastic. I sit on the board of one. It's great. I'm not trying to say they're not a good governance structure, but I like that really clear focus I get in growth and customer, taking care of our customers. And so there are more similarities than there are differences that I've experienced being an entrepreneur. Yeah, there are more, I have speechwriters now. I didn't have speechwriters before. You know, that's kind of cool. But there are a lot more similarities when you get down to the core of it.
Okay, I think that's, well, thank you, Chris. Let's give a round of applause for this. That's a very inspiring conversation.
Thank you.
I'm just going to close up.
You're going to go up there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you. Whatever the speechwriter wrote, but I like to thank Chris for being with us here and having a very inspiring conversation with all of us. And also, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today at McNamara and those joined us online. And I hope that you all enjoyed the event today. I certainly enjoyed a lot. Okay, I also hope you can join us in December, right, for our next First Tuesday event on December 5th. The speaker for the December event will be Jamie Prankert, the new dean of the Carlson School. And he will sit down with Allison Kaplan, editor-in-chief of Twin Cities Business. Okay, and I'm sure that will be a fun event. And also, you know, our new dean is eager to meet our community. Okay, so I hope that you can join us for that event. Okay, well, thanks again for joining us today, and wish you a wonderful rest of the day.